goes. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining on a Wednesday evening. I'm very excited to have you here. It's going to be a good meetup, webinar. I don't even know what we call these days. Us pushing video and talking. It's stuff. I'm going to share my screen here. And so I'll do a little bit of housekeeping first. Trying to get all the different screens up here. There's the chat box. Excellent. Great. All right. So welcome. I don't know if we have any first timers, but first off, can you guys hear me? Go ahead and drop a note in the Zoom chat just so that I know that there's some folks out there. I see you. There's Matt. Awesome. Great. Good deal. Hello. Okay. So a couple of bits of house cleaning here, which are, we do run this webinar style. Somebody had asked this week if we were going to run this one webinar style or more meetup style. They liked the idea of doing it meetup so that more people could chit chat and whatnot. I do it webinar style because it does give us a little bit more control, and it's just a little bit easier than having it be a free-for-all. So hopefully you don't mind. But we do have, if you are in the Zoom window, there are a couple of things that you should probably know. First off, there is a spot down at the bottom for Q&A. I love it if you would ask questions in the Q&A rather than in the chat for two reasons. One, they don't get lost in the stream of chat. And two, at the end, all the questions get actually attached to the webinar and they get saved and they get sent to me. So anything that doesn't get answered during the meetup, we can always answer after the fact. So it's a really easy way of doing that. If you do have something that you would like to say vocally rather than typing out, not a problem at all. There's a little button right here for raising your hand and lowering your hand, and just do that. I will see it and call on you when it's appropriate. There's also a chat box. You found that already. Love it when you guys ask questions, chit chat, whatnot, comments, anything you want. Go ahead and throw it in there. Yeah, that's it. So a couple of other little bits here. As you may know, we've got a website called wpvegas.com. All of these webinars are being recorded. I say that, but let me just double check. Yes, it's being recorded. Perfect. That's good. And what we've been doing is posting them here. So last month we had the general and the advanced combined, and we're doing that again this month. We have Cree is going to be doing a more end user, and I'll be doing more of a developer focused talk today. But if you go to the video, along with the notes, there's also the video is now embedded. It's up on YouTube. And is that not just the absolute best? It's like I'm sniffing my finger. I don't know. What the? Good times. While you're on WP Vegas, if you would like, you can click over onto the Slack link. We do have a Slack channel, and it is locked down. So if you want to get in an invite to it, just fill this out. Let us know who you are. As long as we at least can recognize who the heck you are and find you, then we will let you in. And I love chatting on Slack. I'm on there basically 24/7. So if you have questions during the month that you want to ask, this is a good place to do it. Another good place to ask those questions is inside in Facebook. If you're on Facebook more, we have the Facebook group, Vegas WordPress Meetup. I will be honest with you, I have been kind of avoiding Facebook just from a mental health standpoint for about the last month or so. So I've not been very active in here. I'm way more active on Slack. So if you're looking for me directly, Slack is probably your answer. And then finally, meetup.com, which you're probably all well aware of. And if you look at that, we're almost at 2,000 members here, which is just crazy. I saw somebody ask a question. Video tip on YouTube. Don't forget to add a thumbnail. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I kind of like I'm going to see if I can just work that into everyone from now moving forward. So good deal. Anybody got any questions or anything before we get started? Anything that just burning questions that you're just dying to ask? Now is probably a good time we could do that. But whoa. All right, I'm going to read that in just a minute. Richard, I did see that come in, so I'll get to that in a minute. But so here's where we're at. So tonight we've got two presentations for you. A good friend of mine, Cree Edholm, is on, and she is going to be talking about LearnDash. She is in the process of setting up some online courses, and I thought it would be a great idea to have somebody who's literally just gone through the process come in and tell us the good, the bad, the ugly, the pitfalls, all of that stuff. So she's going to do that. She'll do that first. After that's over, I'm going to take over again, and I have a quick presentation on using advanced custom fields to make Gutenberg blocks. So if you are not big into React programming, like I'm not, more of a PHP person, you too can make custom Gutenberg blocks that are highly complex without a lot of crazy development, which is pretty exciting. So, and then after that's over, we will break this down into our normal Q&A. So if you've got general WordPress questions, go ahead and throw them in there now. I will tell you, while Cree is taking over and doing her gig, if you have any questions, please throw them into the Q&A section and I will lob them out there to her. Or if you like to raise your hand, you can do that as well. So with that, I will say, Cree, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and take it away.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, all right. First, John, thank you so much for having me. You're right, I did just build out a brand new course. First of all, I own Creco Productions. It's a video and podcast production company. And I also do a bunch of different types of work. One of them is building out online courses, especially with everything that's going on right now. I went ahead and did one. This took me a while to do, but I figured I would just show you my online course setup. I did use LearnDash to build this, and it was an enjoyable experience. So I'll just walk you through how I did this and show you the dashboard and kind of walk you through what this particular product is capable of doing in case you are looking to build your own online course or do whatever you'd like. So this is an on-cam course. This is a 30-day challenge, so to speak. So anybody who would like to improve their on-camera presence or just get better at shooting video and sharing video using the tools that they have, this is what this course is all about. So this is the education page. When you land here, there are buttons up here. You can sign up for the course. And once you have enrolled and paid for the course, this is what the course setup looks like. And again, I'll show the dashboard here in a minute and kind of behind the scenes as to how I set this up. But this is from a client's perspective. Once they purchase the course, this is what they're seeing. I have this broken down into different assignments, and I'm going to go ahead and expand this first assignment. These up here are just prep videos. This is basically getting everybody ready to go, and I don't start quizzes until this first unit, so to speak, and I'm going to go ahead and speak about that now. So if you click into this what to expect, what I've done is I have created a little video for each of my lessons. Video is short in nature. The video also includes tips, tools. It's an educational experience for my clients. And then at the end of the video, I provide them with an assignment for the day. LearnDash has a quiz functionality embedded into their platform. And so what I've done is after each of my clients watch the video, then they can go ahead and go to the next lesson. This is automatically built out for you. And this is where they can submit their assignment. So what I have them do is, because it's a 30-day challenge where my clients are creating a video that's 1 minute or less every single day, then what I have them do is take a quiz. The reason why I have them do a quiz is because LearnDash, you can set it up to where the experience is linear. So once you finish the first assignment and then the quiz, then it'll let you go to the next assignment and so on. So that's how I have this set up. What I have people do is they'll create their video, they'll upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video, and then they're just simply pasting that video link here, and then they finish the assignment. Now they're done with that assignment and they can move on to the next one. And that is really how, and I'll go back to the main course page, and that's how I have each of these assignments set up. So this is day 1 assignment, day 2, day 3, and so on and so forth as you move through the course. Very straightforward. Now I've embedded a video into each assignment, but you have access to the editor, so you can post whatever you would like in there. You can do handouts, any type of educational material or information that you want to have in the assignment. This will accommodate it, which is really nice. So I figured I would show you just what the course looks like from a user perspective. Are there any questions about this portion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Down below where you have each of those, like you currently have those with 1 assignment. I'm assuming that you could have that with as many assignments in each of those segments as possible.
Yes, in fact, you can do, and I'm going to show you, this is the label that LearnDash gives is really a quiz. This is a quiz, but LearnDash gives you the flexibility to change your label type. So I change it to assignment because I'm not giving quizzes for this course. It really didn't match. But you can do lessons, you can do topics for each you can do lessons, assignments, and topics, and all move into that hierarchy when we look in the dashboard.
Great. And then Lydia asked, how much styling and customization did you do yourself versus what came with LearnDash?
This is exactly what came with LearnDash. The amount of time it takes to put content together for a course, this just launched on Monday. So my priority was to get the content out and this basic framework out. There is some styling you can do, and that's just phase 2 for me, but this is what it will look like. There are controls in LearnDash that allow you to give your users a more private learning experience, and that's what this is right here. So once you click into the course, it just basically says, hey, here are all of your assignments on the left-hand side, and then you have your lessons, and you have access to all your quizzes and everything right here in front of you, course, this way. So I did turn this private learning experience on, and this is styled by LearnDash.
I mean, that's great. That looks
Yeah.
fantastic straight out of the box.
Yeah, it does. It's easy to navigate. Yeah, it looks nice.
And then the colors, is that just pulled straight from your existing theme?
You can actually set the colors, and I'll show you all of that in the dashboard too.
Cool.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, we'll go back to this after I run through the dashboard. I'll go ahead and return to this screen so that if you have any other questions about how things appear from the client's perspective, then we can return here too.
And then one other question, Matthew was asking, can you have handouts instead of a quiz?
Yeah, you know what? I think these are all incredible questions. And let me show you the dashboard, and then you'll see how they fit in with everything.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go ahead and jump into that.
Okay, excellent. So this is obviously my WordPress dashboard. Once you install LearnDash, this is exactly what it looks like on the left-hand side. I cannot say enough great things about LearnDash and their documentation and their support. I've never had to reach out to their support or a person because their documentation has been so good. The tool is very flexible. You can make these courses as complex or as easy as you'd like. I think that what I put together is probably a little on the easier side, but there are short codes and all different types of layers that you can take advantage of when building out your courses, which is pretty neat. I'm going to turn this boot camp on really quick. This was the first thing that I saw when I installed LearnDash, and it runs you right through the the high level topics. Most of these were important to me as a new user. These videos are all less than 5 minutes in length, and just gets you started really quickly, which is something that I appreciated about the tool. Up here, you can see this is where your courses are and your lessons, but I want to show you the integrations really quick. They accommodate a lot, I think. So you can even plug into, if you have a WooCommerce store set up on your site or something like that, you can plug into that. I'm just using the built-in functionality to collect payment. So there's Stripe and PayPal, but we'll just run through these real quick so that you can see all of the different integrations. All super helpful to plug into whatever you have on your website. So for instance, if your site, if you sell products and courses, you can integrate this directly into your WooCommerce store, and you can have everything in one place, which is a nice experience for your users. These are the overall LearnDash settings. Their dashboards are really, really nice to work with. Very easy to find. I didn't find myself searching around a lot trying to change things. So these are the general settings. You could see this is a question that came up from you, John. You just upload your logo, you set your colors, and you can set your labels. I did point out in my hierarchy that I changed quiz and quizzes to assignment and assignments. And I figured I'd point that out because if you look on my menu on the left, you see assignments twice. But really, this is the quizzes portion. Just so you can see that it has that flexibility in here as well. So, and now let's go ahead and go up into the course. Oh, the Zoom menu is in my way. Move, Zoom menu. All right, this is what my course page looks like. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. So this is the editor. You've already seen the front facing portion of this page. I just placed the content here, and then the rest of the course was just automatically populated here on this page. I actually worked out of this, the builder. This was fantastic because the organization that goes into putting a course together is key. Knowing, what your content is, how it's going to be laid out, have all of that mapped out before you go in here and you build this out. So whatever that hierarchy looks like. Now in LearnDash, we already know that you can do courses. You can do lessons. I used lessons. I did not use topics in mine, but you can drill down into different topics. Remember, assignments is actually quizzes. You can do different questions. You can assign certificates at the end of your course if you'd like. And there's all different types of options that you have here, which is really nice. So what you can do if you're a more visual person is you can use this builder to build things out. And that's exactly what I did. The one thing that I did have to learn the hard way is that whatever I named each component here, it actually created that skeleton within the different hierarchies. And I'll show you what I mean by that here in a minute. So this should look exactly like what you just saw from the client's perspective, right? There was an assignment, and then there was a lesson, and then there was a quiz that is in each of these different components. So that's really what you lay out here. So what I did is I planned out all of my content. I knew exactly what the name of each lesson was, what that assignment name was, and then the question that I wanted to ask in each quiz. And that's how I outlined all of mine. And what was nice is I could go straight into this builder, and I could just go ahead and build it out, build that same hierarchy out in here. So I'll show you what I mean by what to expect is basically an assignment. It's assignment number 1, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like over here. So assignments. Okay. Actually, it's lessons. So it goes lessons and then assignments. And the view that I have on here is not the best. But let me go ahead and pull this up, the getting started. So
I can help you with that other page at a later time.
Okay, good. That'd be great. So you can see here's what to expect. And then I have an assignment that's basically tied to that. And here it all is right here. Here's getting started. It's assigned to the course OnCam, and that whole hierarchy is spelled out here. All right, so here's that embedded video, which does have a thumbnail in YouTube, John. And anyways, this is basically the content for that getting started lesson. So if I clicked on that on the front end, here's the video, and I just embedded my YouTube video there and the content, and now this lesson is complete. So that was the only, I think that was the only thing that I really had to adjust to, was understanding that however I entered information into the builder, then going into the separate areas and entering in the content for each of those sections. So hopefully I'm not confusing you guys by jumping around so much. But the builder is really mainly what I worked out of, and then I would just go into each of these components. Now let's go ahead and go into, because I have quizzes and then I have questions in each of my quizzes. So this is what I used to collect information from my students, from my clients. And that is basically that YouTube link, so that I could watch the video that everybody who's moving through the course could actually, so that I can see what their submission looks like. And if you go into each of these sections, they look very much like the courses section. So this is the settings area for any question that I want to include in this course. And there's so many different controls in here that you can actually do. You can create templates. You can create different categories. The quizzes can be graded, not graded. There's all sorts of different types of controls that you can put on all of these, which is really nice. So these are the options for questions, and let's go up into quizzes and just show you what those settings look like. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I can't emphasize enough how being organized before you go in here and build all this really makes a difference, or else you're just kind of trying to figure out how everything's tied together. I'm going to show you this real quick too, see how everything produces a short code, so you can utilize that. This can get as flexible as you need it to be. So assignments, when anybody submits assignment, this is where I would go to actually see the submitted essays. And then these are the settings that you have for each of these assignments. So this is the number of questions that you want displayed per page. I mean, that template management, all of these admin notifications that you can create here. You can also give your users notifications. This does utilize LearnDash categories and tags, and it also utilizes the categories and tags that are produced out of WordPress. So you can use those controls as much as you'd like. If you want to allow people to search for assignments, you can do that. I mean, there's just so many controls in here. It makes it really nice. Again, I just kind of went the simple route for this course setup. So you can go as simple as you'd like, or if you want to really blow this out into something bigger with different layers and different topics and quizzes and all of that, then you can do that in here as well. So is there anything in particular? Oh, let me show you this really quick. This is neat. You can actually, so it's just me grading these right now, but when lots of people sign up for these courses and maybe I want to hire or have people help me to really monitor these courses so that I'm not doing it all the time, you can assign groups. You can assign them to a group leader so that that person is seeing those assignments come in. This has complete reporting in here. You can assign different weights to, if you have a grading system for your courses, you can assign different weights to the grading system. You can make it to where if you want to have your users take a quiz and then they can't go on until that quiz has been graded, then you can do that. You can also say things like you can only move on if you have, you know, an 80%, like the passing grade is 80% or something like that. And then you can move on or pass the course. So there's all different types of controls in here. So does anybody want to see a specific area or have any questions about this dashboard?
Can you go back to the screen where you kind of had the layout of the course?
Yes.
I'm sorry, on the dashboard. So
on the
that basically that screen, but on the dashboard.
But on the dashboard, yep.
Yeah. Darcy has a couple of good questions that I'll get to in just one second.
Good.
So when you were on this here, this page coming up.
The builder?
Yeah. So when you were on the builder, what was kind of your plan of attack for how you did this? Like, I know you said that you had kind of mapped out your data ahead of time. So when you mapped out your course, did you already know that it was going to be like a get started with like the basic stuff up front, which no quizzes, no requirements, just go watch this video and move on. And then down below, you had getting to know the tools. And then, so how much of that did you have? And then did you build it in a way that was basically top down? Did you just have to start at the top and then work your way through? Or did you kind of lay out the skeleton first before going in and adding all of your content?
Yeah, I actually had it laid out in this way. So I have, let's just call these units. So getting started is I'd already had a unit planned. Mm-hmm. And then we're spending the first week getting to know the tool that you have. Remember, for this course, people are learning how to put video content together and be more comfortable on camera. And then after that, teaching about how to tell a story. So you can see I have different lessons per unit. And I also knew that I wanted to have people who move through this course submit something. I wanted to be able to look at something that they submit so that I can see how they're doing, I can give them feedback, and I can also provide them support along the way. So I knew I wanted to take advantage of that quiz functionality. And for my quizzes, you can do multiple choice, you can do preset questions. In fact, you can ask questions where you can put the answer in LearnDash so that LearnDash knows that that's a correct answer and it'll grade it for you. Now that's a little more complex than what I was getting into, but to answer your question, the short answer is yes. I happen to have all this built out so that when I went into this builder, if I go down to the bottom here, I'll show you, I kind of had this little epiphany. I was like, okay, look, new section heading, perfect. That's what this looks like. A new lesson, perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. And then now one thing I will say, remember when I told you earlier I changed the label from quiz to assignment?
Mm-hmm.
In the builder, if you don't change that, you can actually add quizzes down here. That is something that did change for me in the builder, but if you leave all the labels as they come out of the box, then you can build everything out here in the builder.
Gotcha. All right. All right. There's a stack of questions for you, so get ready.
Excellent.
So
I'm ready.
I'm going to start with Darcy's, which was, what platforms and plugins did you consider, and what made you decide on LearnDash?
Well, I have a friend who we were both having a conversation about building an online course out, and it literally went like this for me. Hey, I was thinking of buying these licenses. Would you like to split the cost? And I'll share one of the licenses. So I will say this is the only tool that I've used to build online courses as of now. And it happened to work out perfectly for me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then her second question, which is there gamification, badges, awards, etc.?
You know, no, but I wonder if there is an add-on. I just have to look into that. So no, it's not built into LearnDash, but there could be an add-on or something that could add that to it.
Gotcha. Okay, Lydia asks, how does registration and payment work from the user's perspective? Is it membership / subscription? Subscription.
You know, let's look at that. Because you can do either. I just have to remember where those settings are. So I have mine, because I only have one course available right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a, and I'm looking at these settings here. So I'm just charging for the course. It's all built in. So right here, you can set up PayPal, you can set up Stripe. Those are additional plugins that I did have to. The Stripe plugin is one of the add-ons that's offered by LearnDash. So I just took advantage of the LearnDash's built-in functionality. You can do subscriptions. You can do all sorts of different things. And let me see if I can find.
It's probably at the course level, I would think.
Yeah.
Was there a separate cost?
It's going to be in here. It'll be in here. Yeah.
Was there a separate cost for the plugins?
Not for the ones that are offered by LearnDash, no.
Gotcha. And Darcy, LearnDash, their pricing is, they're running a special right now. They're basic, so a one-site license with unlimited courses is $159. 10-site license is $189, and 25 sites is $329. There you go. Okay.
Here we are. So this is the access mode. Let me just run you through this. So I don't have a certificate set up for this course. I also have another interactive piece to this course so that I'm speaking with people as they go through it. But you can set that up here. This is all the pagination I was telling you about. You can set your lesson order here. And here's that access mode. So mine's just a buy now built into LearnDash. It can be open. So if you want to do just an open course that is on your site, free is good. I mean, I'm always a fan of collecting email addresses from people who are enjoying my content. So free, I have buy now. You can do recurring payments in here. And this is where you can actually integrate with WooCommerce. And there's a video about this, but you just place the link to wherever your client should go to purchase the course in WooCommerce. You just paste that link here and it automatically integrates with LearnDash, which is pretty easy and nice.
Nice.
So
Chris Rogers would like to know, can you show or talk about the certificate of completion?
basically what you can do is at the end of the course, you just create a certificate. So just like if you go to a course and they hand you a certificate at the end or they mail you one, you can do that here. You can create a certificate and, you know, I'm sure there is a certificate section over here, and you just set the settings so that when they're done with the course, then they get to get that certificate and it just automatically gets sent to them.
This is a really great question, actually. Does it have conditional logic? Like, if you score 80% or higher on a quiz, then you go to Class A. But if you get less than that, then you go to Class B.
That is really good. So I did not use any conditional logic when putting my courses together because they're so straightforward. But I did touch on this a little while ago, and let's go ahead and go. I changed this label, so we're going to quizzes. And let's go ahead and let's go into one of these. So we're going to go into the quizzes section and go into that settings area. I want to show you. Okay. So see that this has a builder built into this portion at least. All right, so here are the controls for progression, grading, and all of those types of things. You can define a passing score. So to answer the certificate delivery question, if this is the score that you're looking for, then they'll deliver the certificate. But there are, when you're setting up your questions for each of the items, so I'm just slowly scrolling through these so you can see there's so many different controls and ways that you can do this. I would say though that the conditional logic is dependent on the built-in controls here. You probably couldn't get too complicated with the scoring, but I would say it's adequate.
So what happens if somebody does not get the 80%?
Well, it's not going to deliver that certificate, and then you can basically I'm sure that you can set up controls that say they can retake it. There's even controls per question. For instance, I'll show you. Let's go right into a question. So that you can do these settings per question or per set of questions for that course. Oh, that was disappointing. Let's go back here and look at these settings. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys.
It's a lot of menus to get through. You're fine.
Yeah, it is a lot of menus, but I'm wondering if it's not this one. Let's look at this. All right, so these are lessons that people have submitted for those essays. I'm going to go back to the builder and show you very quickly that what it looks like to add let's just go in here and I'll show you this course builder again and show you what that looks like. So the other thing too that I'm noticing now, and remember I just launched this course on Monday. When I built the course out, I kept that label as quiz and quizzes. Just prior to launch, I changed that label to assignments, and now I'm seeing that it it's definitely affecting these builders. I'm not seeing that label show up in these builders. So let's go ahead and just add a new lesson and see what happens. All right. Now, I don't think this isn't going to work. I'm not sure where to show you in this the way. I think that because I changed that label, I am seeing this. But when you set up those questions, then you can basically define what a passing score is, and you can have it automatically grade something or not automatically grade it. But I can't recall right now what it does, what the controls are for if somebody doesn't pass, let's say, can they go and retake? But I'm sure that there are controls from using the tool. I feel like that they have that covered.
And then while you're actually on that screen, don't leave anywhere because the next question is related. Do you have the ability to move lessons between a course? I'm thinking if you were to create short, low-paying courses and then add them into one master course for a discounted price. So like if you create I think the question is, you've got a lesson right here, right?
Yes.
Interview part 2. Once that's created, can you then, is that part of like a big bucket of lessons that you could then easily drag and drop into a completely different course?
Yes. So if you go over here.
That was by somebody named Anonymous Attendee.
So let's just go to lessons. And I'm just going to see right now. I can't wait for you to teach me how to do this.
I'm going to show you. That's one of the questions that we'll answer in the Q&A portion.
So basically what I want to see is, so you can assign each assignment to, I'll show you what I mean. Right here, this assignment goes to the on-cam course.
Right.
And I'm wondering right here if you can add multiple courses there.
Click on quick edit.
Yeah.
So you, there's your categories, lesson categories. It doesn't look like it in here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it in here either.
Yeah.
But you do have those short codes. I mean, maybe you can utilize that and make that work. I would have to test it and see.
Well, as you build new courses, because I'm sure one course is not going to be enough for you.
Right, no, it won't be.
I know you too well. Yeah, so as you're adding more, if you've got, obviously if you put together any sort of content or whatever around this, let me know and we can always share it with the group, either through Facebook or next month's meetup, and we can do a follow-up.
Yeah, and I will be helping someone build an online course using a different tool in the near future. So once I have that too, I'd be happy to share the differences.
Perfect. That'd be great. Awesome. Does anybody have any last minute questions for Cree before we let her off the hook here? Cree, what tool? Oh yeah, what tool are you using next?
You know what? I just don't recall the name right now, but I'll share it once I have more information for sure.
So another of the big ones that I know of is Lifter LMS. So I don't know if that's the one that you're planning on using, but yeah, cool. So obviously where I can see up there, it's creecopro.com, but where else can folks find you if they're interested in learning more from you?
You can visit creedhome.com, or I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all over the place. So I'd be happy to connect. And something I want to do this year is just be more involved with this group in general. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I can't thank you enough. This was awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes once you really kind of get it flying. I mean, it looks great straight out of the box. So I don't even know how much customization you really even need to do.
Right.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. So, well, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Shall I hand it back to you?
Sure. All right. So we do have a couple of questions that we're going to cover in the Q&A portion in a little bit, but I am going to hop over and I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to do a quick-ish presentation on setting up Gutenberg blocks using ACF. And I hid the screen. Let me share my screen. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this is my page here. So you can see I have nothing on it. And this is where we'll mess around and add some stuff as we go along. But so what I'm looking to do and how this kind of came about was, in the past, I've built a lot of custom development that is using advanced custom fields, which is just an extremely powerful tool. And then now we've got this, we've got Gutenberg is here. And so, everybody and their brother is building out all of their custom pre-made blocks that you can use. People have there's plugins that you can buy or just download free. Atomic Blocks is actually one of my favorite ones. And so there's all sorts of different ones: Code, Classic, Custom HTML. And this is all basic stuff. I do have Yoast installed, but you can easily just drag any one of these blocks onto your WordPress dashboard or into your page or post and just start building out your content this way. And this is all great as long as there is one that does exactly what you're looking for. But when that's not the case, we build our own. And that's what I'm going to show you. My problem with Gutenberg blocks is that the way that they want you to build them is basically through React and JavaScript. And here's a little tip. I know none of that stuff. I am a PHP developer. I have been talking about doing it for a long time, learning JavaScript, and I've taken about 3 or 4 different courses on Udemy, and I still know about that much JavaScript. I can edit somebody else's, but writing it from scratch is just not my bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a plugin, which I already have here, called WP Vegas Gutenberg Example. I have, right now, this plugin has nothing in it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to walk you through the steps piece by piece so that you see what the heck it is that I'm doing and what each section does. And then when this is all over, I do have this wrapped up into a zip file, and you can install it and you can use my absolutely amazing-ish Gutenberg block. And then hopefully you'll take it and use it and then go build off of it and use your own. So the first thing that you have to do, this is just standard code for starting a plugin. But you'll notice that what I've done here is I've left 2 important comments for you. One is the ACF block documentation. This blog post that they have on their site on advancedcustomfields.com is fantastic, and it will literally walk you through all of this. But I'm going to just kind of distill it down even a little bit further than they do. So, and I always think that it's easier when you actually see somebody do it rather than just having to kind of go sort it out yourself. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create register a block. So I'm going to do this because I like to keep my code a little bit clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it I want to require a new file called blocks, and I'm going to grab that content. And here we go. So this is the initial step in registering a block. So what we've done is, this is a very simple function that just says register ACF block type. And inside of it, basically, this is the step in actually creating the block. We're going to give our block a name. So the name is called book. Then we can give it a title, because this is what somebody might see. And then description, a custom book block. This would be visible somewhere. And then the render template. So normally, a lot of times, these might be added as part of a theme. And so I've changed it up just a little bit, and I've added this little chunk of code. So this is not in their example on ACF. The reason I'm doing this is because I want this to I want this to be a self-contained unit. I want to be able to deliver this to you as a plugin, and everything is all in one spot. So I'm using a couple of these are built-in WordPress functions, plugin dir path and plugin dir URL. And this is where I'm going to kind of set up my two different pieces for the block, because there's two sides to a block. There is the PHP code, which is going to be the template that's going to be the layout for actually making it. And then there's the CSS, which is going to be the styles that tell it how to look. Okay. Now, normally, this right here, this category, the category, I want to just show you real quick, because the category actually relates to this down here, common blocks, formatting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in their documentation, you're going to see that this actually says formatting, which is great if you don't mind your block showing up in here. But I found another little chunk of code that is going to let us, and I'll show it to you in a minute. I'll just leave this as formatting for the moment. And I'll show you why in just a sec. And then separately from that is the icon. Going back over here, you can use any of the dash icons that are available. And this is actually a relatively decent list of these icons available. So you can kind of pull any of these in that you want. And so once you find the one you want, like let's say you wanted this envelope, you click on it, and you can see it's called dash icons dash email. I believe when you go to use that, you actually only need to put in the word email instead of book dash alt. You just put an email there. And then keywords is, so the only keyword that I have in here is book. And the keyword is important because if somebody were to be searching for a block, we would want ours to show up. So these are keywords that somebody could use to find our block once it's been created. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this as the name of the file is going to be book.php. Actually, it's not supposed to be book. It's supposed to be blocks. Great. Okay, so now, so this is very simple. So if we want to do later on down the line, create a second block, we could copy this section that is all inside of our function. So you can see down here, it's checking to make sure that ACF is available. But if I wanted to create another one of these, I could literally copy this down and then just go change out these assets in here. And I could register all of my blocks all at the same time. So this would be a very easy way to create like a whole library of your own blocks, and then turn them on and turn them off. Basically, this is what my plan is. As I create new ones, I'll just continue to build out this plugin, and then I'll just kind of turn them on and turn them off just by commenting out each one of these sections. So I don't want to duplicate that. So let's get rid of that for now. Okay, so now I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the two other key files here. One is my super impressive CSS file. you'll see that I spent very little time on this. So I'm just making like inline block, a little bit of margin, etc. And I like to make sure that and keep my stuff clean. So as I go to save this, you'll see that I've got my idea behind this is I'm going to create a folder called blocks, and then which block it is, and then that's where I'll start saving my files. So when I go to save this, I'm going to create a new folder called blocks, then a new folder in there called book. Now I can't remember if it was plural, probably is, and books.php, or CSS. It's book, okay. Do that there. And then let's go take a look at the PHP, which is a little bit more involved. So let me just save this one real quick. And we'll walk through it from the top. Okay, so this is what the template looks like, and don't be scared. This is pretty straightforward, and again, they have, it's all broken out, and it's even kind of, it's commented along the way, which is pretty handy. So this is a really neat little trick that they do, which is we're going to create an ID, and it's going to be book and then the block ID. And the reason we're doing that is it's creating, so each block that we add onto a page has a completely unique ID that we can attach to, which is very, very handy. And then what I did was I basically took their example, I copied it in, and then I just started modifying it just a touch. So I wanted to create a class name, which I call book. And then there's just a couple of, like, a lot of this stuff. I would say that everything from like line 26 on up, you could actually copy this exactly as is. And the only thing that you would need to change would be the keyword here, book. And so all of that would stay the same. Okay, then down here is where we're going to start pulling in our fields. Now, at this particular point, we haven't created any fields, so I'm going to go do that real quick over in ACF so that you can see what that process looks like. So if you are familiar with ACF, I'm going to create a new field group called books, and I'm going to show you here. Sorry, I meant to have this up on a separate screen, and now I don't have it. Sorry, I just need to move this right up here for a second. Okay, so I need a title. This is going to be the title of the book, and that's going to be a text field. I'm going to add another field called author. It's another text field. Then I'm going to add a link so that I can link off to like an Amazon affiliate. Then I'm going to create a description. And for this one, I actually want this to be a WYSIWYG. There we go. And a cover so that we can get the image. And oh, you know what I did also? I was going to be a little bit fancy here, but I did have the opportunity for a background color. This is a color picker. Where is the color picker? There it is. Great. So this is a very, very simple way of doing it. I did do a couple of kind of advanced things in the example. So when you see it, you'll see something that will look something like book details. That I made this a tab. This is a fun feature of advanced custom fields that I don't think gets used enough yet, but I think as more people learn about it, They will, so that's why I'm going to show it to you. So here's book details, and then I'm going to create a block details tab. And drop that right there. So basically what I'm doing is I want to make it so that my two different sections of the, like all of this information, because as you're adding a whole bunch of fields, this can get a little bit overwhelming and your block could end up being gigantically tall. So this is a way that we can kind of break this up and actually do it with tabs instead. So what I want to do now is I want these fields that I just created, I only want those to be available to a specific block. And this is one of the features of ACF Pro. I can say that I want it to be associated with the block, and I want it to be associated with my book block. So the reason I kind of built this in the order that I did was because I needed that other chunk of code to be in place up here. I needed the block to actually exist before I would be able to attach these block settings to the book block. Hope that makes sense. So let me go ahead and publish that. Okay. I believe, and I'm going to just double check real quick, but I believe that I already had this active. Let's go take a look. Yeah, so I had already activated the plugin. I just started adding stuff to it. So this is how it's going to look for you, WP Vegas Gutenberg example. And now, if I go to, so now let's go take a look at what all of this means. So you can see that I've got my title, which is pulling in the field title, author, link, description, cover, etc. And then this is about as simple as it gets. This is the div, and you can see that I'm adding that ID right here, which was created up here, which I was telling you about. And so this is going to give us something very easy to link to. The great part about this is if we wanted to do any sort of custom CSS styling, we could always attach directly to a specific ID or even the class names. So this class name is going to be book. So we would be able to attach custom CSS to a class called book and know that we were just attaching that CSS to our block. So you can see I did this very, very simply. So here's where the book image is going to show up. Book details are down here, and then there's a little chunk of CSS that you can see that I'm attaching right to this ID, and you can see that I'm attaching that background color. So now that that's there, let's go and take a look and see how that all shapes up here. So let's go to a page. If things go well, this is going to work on the first try, because why not? So I'm going to go to my sample page. And did I leave that? It probably is still right here in formatting. So there we go. So if I look in formatting, here is my book block. So I could just add that. And now a couple of things I'm going to show you. You can see the book title and the author name. That's just showing up because of what I've done here, which is a ternary. So it's showing this, but if that doesn't exist, then it'll show the book title. And since we haven't entered anything yet, that just doesn't exist yet. So now I can just switch over here to the edit mode. And now you can see this is my set of fields that I created. And as I told you before, we created a book details and a block details tab. So I can come into here and I can say, let's see, Fight Club. Polnick. Amazon.com/Fight Club. I'm sure that's not the link, but we'll just assume that it is. And then I'll just go ahead and add some text. There we go. Now I can go add a cover image. Look at that. Just happen to have one in the media library. And I'm going to go over to the details and add a red. Now, if I switch back to the preview mode, you're going to see that I'm actually getting the preview mode right here in the dashboard, which is super handy sometimes. And then you can see that I have it over here. I'm going to show you a couple of other little tricks here that these are just kind of straight built in to Gutenberg that we get to take advantage of that that I didn't even have to do anything with, which is fantastic, which are this right here, like the alignment. I can align left, align center, align right, but most importantly, by default, it's using this wide width. But if I wanted that to be full width, you can see how that goes all the way to the edges. And as long as my theme allows for it as well, I have access to do the exact same thing there. So now if I wanted to go back into edit mode and change the color and maybe pick something not quite so terrible. Well, these are all going to be pretty terrible here. Let's just go, how do we go with, whoops, I don't know what the heck I just did there. There we go, okay. So I'll just change this to black. And there we go. Nope, that's just straight up black. So anyway, you get the concept. This is, oh, I should probably go look. Does it? I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A section, but I have lost the chat, so I need to go find the chat. Bear with me a second, sorry. No, I've straight up lost the chat. There it is. Okay. Okay, cool. No questions in the chat yet. So I want to show you one last little piece because this was a great little chunk of code to find, which, as I showed you before, right now our block is showing up underneath the formatting. And that's just not very useful necessarily. It would be much better if we had our own. So this chunk of code that we are going to grab looks like this. And I'll go place this right up in here. So this is add blog categories, and we're going to just run this little merge in here. It's an array merge, and I get to give it a slug and then a title. So I'm going to give the slug of WP Vegas, and then here is the title, which will be WP Vegas blocks. And so now if I copy this and go over to my block here, I could swap this out. And now if, wrong screen. If I come into here, I'll just do a quick refresh on this page. So now when I go to add, you can see that I've got our own category here. And right now the book is the only one that's in there. So that's it in a nutshell. Looks a little complicated. If you've worked with PHP at all, this shouldn't be a huge lift. My idea for this particular, obviously this is just something silly, but I'm using this on sites for work for creating any sort of custom bit where I want to kind of lock in what somebody is going to be able to display on their site. And so this is a very easy way of doing that. The nice part about this is you could easily add multiple books to the page. And then so we could go in and add another right below it. And then really the only thing that you're going to end up spending probably the bulk of the time on is going into the CSS and making sure that your layout looks the way that you want it. So that's that. Questions? Let's see. The style sheet you created for the block, does it style the front end and back end equally? Um, so there is a way of creating two separate ones. I guess out of the box, the way that this works is it is actually pulling in this CSS on the front end and on the back end. I have run into issues on a couple of occasions where the styling that I was doing on the front end was a lot, and it made the editing screen a bit too much, and so I didn't like that, and so I had to kind of mellow that out a bit. So I believe that there's a way to just kind of actually create two separate ones, and you may find yourself doing that. But as you can see, my one CSS file is in fact modifying the this here. So when I go into preview mode, this looks pretty darn close to what is going on out here, which is actually kind of funny because I could have sworn that when I built this, I made it so that this was lining up over here, but yeah, apparently I broke that somewhere along the way. But so if you download the plugin and it ends up looking slightly different from that, that's why. So. All right, unrelated to ACF, but how did you input lorem ipsum with a command? That was rad. Aha, I am a gigantic nerd. I use a tool called Dash, and Dash has the ability for adding shortcodes. So let's see here. I do not like the new interface from Dash, but so what I've done is I've got all of these little snippets. Here we go. Here's my snippets. So you can see all of my different snippets. So I created one called Lorem 1, one called Lorem 2, and one called Lorem 3. But then I've got other things that I find very, very useful, like my SSH key. This is actually an affiliate link for Studio Press, affiliate link for Ultimate Beaver. So just things that I use on a regular basis, like WP Die. This is something that I use on a all the time basis. Like it just creates the piece for you. Yeah, it's super handy. Zoom is another one because I use Zoom on a regular basis. That way I don't have to remember stuff because I'm pretty bad at remembering a lot of stuff. So Dash, it's super cheap, well worth it. Cool. Let's see, I have a link that I will drop into the chat here in just a second. If I can find it. If you are interested in downloading the plugin example, I'm going to drop it into the chat here. I will also, when we push this up to WP Vegas, I will be sure and link up the download so you can grab the entire version and go to town. All right. So, any questions? Any questions about this plugin? Any questions about WordPress in general? And if not, I tell you what. I know Krieg was having a little bit of an issue. Let me see. Krieg, are you back on?
I think so. Just the video's not coming through.
There you are.
Hi there.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Okay. So you can still see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to solve your problem first, which was if I go to the pages here and I have Yoast installed, I get all of these extra fields. And these fields might not be very useful, or in your case, might be taking up so much room that it makes your left-hand column be super ridiculously thin and a pain in the ass to deal with. Well, I have a solution for you. There is a plugin called Admin Columns. And there's even a pro version, and the pro version lets you do just absolutely ridiculous, crazy stuff. It's absolutely worth it. So you probably just want to go buy it. But let me show you how this works. So if I go to the settings for admin columns, and let's just say that I wanted to edit. So in here, you can see that it's going to let me edit any of these post types. I've got movies, etc., etc., etc. But I can also do pages, posts, comments. So you'll see on yours, because you've got those custom post types for the for LearnDash, they'll show up here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to edit how pages looks. So right now, this is all of the items that are on the pages. But you know what? I don't need the key phrase. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. Don't need that. I don't need that. This is all that I want on my pages. So I hit save. And there you go. So end result is you basically get what you want. Now, so I have the movies one here. So let's just, I'm going to just real quickly add a movie. Do I have a, okay. So let's just say that I had Fight Club, Norm 3, and I add a featured image, and I hit publish. So if I look at my movies list, this at a default just kind of gives me what you just saw a minute ago. But if I go to admin columns, I feel like there's a way of getting to it that I'm just terrible about finding, I guess. But oh, it's under here, settings, admin columns. There we go. So now let's say that I wanted to change the movies. First, I want to remove the stuff that I don't care about. But I can also add columns, things like featured image. And I can also reorder it so that the featured image is the first thing. Save that. And so now I would get a very quick look, and this is especially helpful if you've got a lot of, if you're ever looking to make sure that you're not like either duplicating, or if you're, you know, want to make sure that your featured image, first off, that it's there. Did you remember to set one? If not, it would be very obvious in a list. But also some people want to make sure that, you know, you don't have like 5 in a row that are all the same color. Well, this is a real easy way of kind of getting to all of that sort of information. So cool, helpful, yes? All right, next up is Richard had a question, which was, Richard is getting an issue with mixed content. And he didn't say that I can't, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up here. So if Richard, I want to show you a couple of quick things here, because when you go to the site, I'm using Chrome, and even though like I'm on HTTPS, you'll see that it says not secured. And so you reached out to SiteGround and they kind of gave you the same information, but I want to show you how you can actually find that information yourself. So if you run into this and you're like, it's supposed to be secure, but I'm not seeing the little lock, how come? So what I'm going to show you is if you right click on any part of the page and just choose inspect, you're going to get the inspector window to pop up. And if you hop over to the console, it's going to tell you immediately that you've got mixed content on the page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 bits of mixed content. It says it was loaded over HTTPS, but it's an insecure image. So now this is a list of all of the images that you need to go fix. So if you were to go to, you can click on this, or I think you might need to right click and open it in a new tab. There you go. So first off, all we got to do is find where this image is. Okay, it's one of these, and if I'm not mistaken, it's one of these slide images. So this slider, if I were to take a look here, is part of this particular slider, and this is an Elementor slider. So there's a couple of reasons that this could have happened. If you were building this site while, if you were building the site during the process when you hadn't actually gone live and it wasn't using HTTPS, I have had it happen, especially with page builders. I've seen it in Beaver Builder a fair bit. It will show you, you will add the image as HTTP, and then when you switch to HTTPS, it doesn't go through the database and kind of go and update those. So if I were you, what I would do is I would go into the editor and edit this here, and you may need to just remove the image and then just add it back, because now that you are on HTTPS, it should add them with HTTPS. And Matthew added a nice little link in the chat, which is for Wino Padlock. And I believe what you can do is you type in your URL, oops, copy your URL. Well, you're not a robot, even if you are, that's fine. And this is going to probably bring up a list of, we've got to wait a little bit. But so this is another easy way of just finding that out. But there you go. There's a couple of images, and it's basically showing the exact same list that we just looked at a minute ago. There is a plugin in the WordPress repo called Really Simple SSL. And you may be able to install this plugin. I will tell you, I have had varying degrees of luck with this plugin in instances like this, where you've got just a couple of images that are not being shown as HTTPS. But it is very possible that you could install this plugin and activate it, and it's going to just fix those items for you without you even having to go edit it. Lydia just said if you're on SiteGround, you can use the settings in the SG Optimizer to force SSL as well. So there's another option. I try whenever possible, because we know exactly where these images are and what is attached to. We know it's not hard coded as part of the theme. This is something that we can go change. If it's me, I'm going to actually go and fix the root problem, which is the slider just needs to be updated to use HTTPS for those images. But if you find yourself, once in a while, I've seen it where like a third-party asset, like a remote JavaScript file or a remote CSS file, is being hard-coded through like a plugin that is using HTTP. It still happens every now and again. I don't know why, but that's kind of a good reason why you might want to use something like this or the SiteGround settings as well. So, Richard, I hope that you're on, and I hope that helps. Ah, gotcha. Yep. He migrated from one account to another, and that's when the problem came up. So, All right. I'm going to go to the next question here. Not sure if I can ask any WP question. Yes, you can. If I want several blog posts to be linked to one menu item, such as Spain, would I create the menu topic in a page or post and then make the introduction as a sticky post? Not sure if that's clear. Suzanne, so you want one post, you want one link, but then to show multiple posts. To me, that sounds a bit like a category scenario. So let's see if I've got any posts on here. I do. I have a whole bunch of posts. Perfect. Okay. Do I have any categories? What do we got for categories? I don't. Okay. So you said Spain, so I'm going to create a new category called Spain. All right, and now I'm going to go to these posts, and I'm going to just pick, whoops, I pick several of these posts, and I'm going to just do a quick edit, and I'm going to add them all to the Spain category. Okay, so now, let's take a look at the front end here. So I've got, here's my menu, home and sample page. All right, so behind the scenes, I'm going to go to underneath appearance, I'm going to go to menus. And let's just make sure that we can get you what you're trying to do, which is, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but so while I'm on the menu, you saw that I've got home and I've got my sample page, but now I want to add a link to Spain, which is then going to show me all of those posts that are in the Spain category. So over here for your options, you can add pages, posts, movies, which is one of my custom post types. I can create a custom link, or I can add something from the categories. So I can choose Spain and say add to menu. And you can see that this is a category. It'll show you what type of link it is. So I'm going to save that. And refresh this. So now when I click Spain, this is going to be, and obviously, depending on how your blog or how your theme is going to lay these out, you can see here's, for mine, it's actually showing the entire post. But so here are all of those posts that have been categorized as being in Spain, in the Spain category. Is that what you're trying to do, or is it something else? If you want to go ahead and just give me a yes, no in the Zoom chat, that would be great. And if I was a little better at navigating this, I could go over and yes, awesome. Cool. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave that at that. I saw another question. I think there was another question that I was going to, or actually, let me ask you just a quick follow-up for you, Suzanne, which is, does that solve what you're trying to do, or was there more to it? If there's more to it, I don't mind. Click on the raise hand, and what I'll do is I'll open up your mic, and you can ask it that way. That might be a little bit easier. Richard said, what was the name of the migration plugin you mentioned at another WP meetup that preserves hard-coded links? So my favorite migration plugin is Migrate DB Pro. So if you go to Delicious Brains, Delicious Brains has several tools that I use. I'm a big fan of Spin Up WP, but WP Migrate DB Pro is the tool that I use for migrating from one site to another. I use this if I've got a new client and I need to make a copy of their site down onto my local, I'll use this. I love this plugin for multiple reasons. Not only does it make it very easy for bringing down just the database, but as you do it, if I'm moving something over to my staging site, it will actually switch the URLs to match my staging site for me. And then if I go to push it back to the live site, it'll actually switch them to match the URL structure for the live site as well. But on top of that, there's also some add-ons that you can use, including bringing over all of the media for the media library. You can have it bring over the themes and the plugins, and you could do like sledgehammer approach and bring over everything, or you can actually go and scalpel like and pick out only these themes, only these plugins, etc. It's super handy. It's extremely powerful. From a pricing standpoint, really just depends on what you're trying to do. I actually use the developer license, and it allows for 30 active sites, which means that basically if you think of, if I did 50 websites in one day, as I was adding them, 1 through 30 would be active, and as soon as I added 31, that first one would become quote unquote inactive, but you can very easily just click on and reactivate. So something like the side hustle version may be good for you. However, it's at the developer level where you get the add-ons for the media files, the theme plugins, etc. So if you need that functionality, this is the way to go. I'm a huge fan of it, and happy to show that off anytime somebody would like. Suzanne, you said, but eventually I would want separate the blog posts. I'm going to try to, well, first off, I just need to find where the heck there's the participant list. All right, Suzanne, go ahead and turn on your mic, and you have the floor.
Hi,
Hello.
okay, hi. Okay, now you can't hear me. Okay, so thank you so much. So basically I wanted to see exactly like how you did that. I think you're recording this, right? So I'll be able to go back and look at it. Okay, so basically see where it says like Modi Rim, Molita or whatever.
Yep.
So that one I would want to have like as basically like an introduction. Hey, welcome to Spain, blah, 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 blah. And that's going to be like, maybe I think I could put that as a sticky post. And then underneath it, where you have like NM and all those other ones, I would want those to be like where I could eventually put like some pictures, and then just like the first couple of sentences, just, and then click here for more. So I don't know. I mean, I think I can probably just get a template from like Elementor or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So could I put that, where would I put that template though?
So you would have to have, it would have to be at the category level. So let's go into the back here for just a second, and I will show you a couple of other things that you can do here. So if I go to posts and I go to categories, so when I go to Spain, let's just say that I add my favorite block of lorem text and update. Now, depending on how my theme handles it, you can see that this one does allow for displaying that description that I added to the category.
Oh,
here.
okay. Okay. So
Okay.
that would be kind of like your heading. Could you put it, can you put a photo in there as well, an image? Oh, right on.
Let's style it just a little bit here. Let's make it a little left aligned. Now, I will tell you, this is very dependent on your theme.
Okay.
So if your theme allows for this, it's going to just work. This theme allows for it. It just works. If your theme does not allow for it, then you would need for like, if you're using Elementor, then there's probably like a
Landing page.
category template that you would have to create.
Oh, okay. A category template. Okay. So I wouldn't use like a landing page for post template right there.
I don't know. So the short answer is no, because, well, it's a complicated answer, but
Okay.
because you don't want to have to be creating one of these individually for every single, like you don't want to have to go create an individual template page for every single category. Let's just imagine you got 500 categories. Obviously, you just don't want to be doing that. What you want is a template that handles it at the category level. So like now, if I were to go create another category, Denmark, so if I go and view this one now, like I didn't have to do anything different. Like it just worked. There's no posts in the Denmark category yet, but it's already ready to go. I didn't have to go create a new template. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to just be in this like perpetual, always creating new templates, and that's just not going to be any fun whatsoever.
No. Thank you.
You bet. All right, we have about 20 minutes left. I'm happy to show off pretty much anything else. You know what? There was I got an email today. I wanted to show you guys something else it's an event that's coming up. It sounds very, very interesting. There it is. There's an event coming up in a couple of months, apparently. All right, I thought it was sooner than this, but it's not. WordPress Accessibility Day. I think this is a great thing. So it's a 24-hour global event, features selection of speakers, et cetera, et cetera. If you're interested in getting involved in this and making sure that WordPress is as accessible as possible for people with any sort of disability, be it sight or movement or whatever, this is a great opportunity to get involved and help out. So it's something I'm kind of passionate about. So I would hope that you guys might check that out. All right, I am going to show you guys something else, and I don't typically try not to be too much of a marketer while I'm here, but this isn't even really marketing. This is very much a pay it forward type of event going on, which is if you go to my website, johnhawkins.net, this is my personal blog. This first post right here is how can I help you and bring awareness to mental health issues at the same time. I don't know if you know this or not, but this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there is an amazing group called OSMI. They are an open source mental health. So they really are trying to help folks in our industry, in the tech industry, with mental health issues and getting them the help and the support they need. And so what I am doing for the rest of this month is you can go to this link right here, pick a 30-minute time slot on my calendar. You will pay $50 for it, and we will hop on a Zoom together, and you and I will talk about whatever the heck it is that you want. You need help with WordPress, you got an idea for a project, anything, I don't care what it is, I'm happy to help. And then at the end of the month, all of the money that I collect is all getting donated to OSMI, and including the credit card fees, I will cover those myself so that they get the entire $50 that you paid. So I would love it if every one of you filled up the rest of my calendar for the next 11 days. So that's that. Cool. All right, I'm just kind of going through here and seeing if, thank you, Lydia. I am enjoying it. And I will tell you, I've had a couple of really, really cool conversations that have stemmed from it. So it's been a lot of fun. And it's now something that I'm going to do every year for sure. And I may even do it more often than just every year. I may actually just leave that link open and just have it as a standing thing that people can do. And at the end of each month, I'll just give them the money because I love the stuff that they're doing. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any additional questions. So I am going to say once again, huge thank you to Cree for coming in and showing off LearnDash. It's something that I've been very excited to learn myself. So I'm glad that you are doing it first. Cree and I actually have a podcast that we do together called wellwtf.com. Surprised she didn't mention that, but I'll mention it for you. We need to get back to recording is what we need to do. And then give me a few days and I will get this video up onto WP Vegas. And with that, I'm going to say, have a great evening, and we will do this again next month. Take care, y'all.